Most 80s TV sitcoms were sweet, warm, and family-friendly, but the actors were another story. In fact, some of the decade's most popular sitcom actors have had difficult lives and dark, troubling secrets. Loughlin joined Full House in 1988 as Becky Donaldson, girlfriend and then wife of Uncle Jesse Katsopolis, thus forever becoming Aunt Becky in fans' eyes. But to the federal government, Loughlin was just one part of a massive criminal conspiracy.
How rude.
In 2019, the FBI arrested 50 individuals as part of an investigation called Operation Varsity Blues. The agency alleged that many well-off and famous parents paid William Rick Singer to juice their children's odds of acceptance at prestigious universities. He did this by paying proxies to take entrance exams, bribing test proctors, and giving cash to collegiate coaches to say celebrity kids were athletes when they weren't. Singer pleaded guilty to racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and obstruction of justice.
He may have lied a bit on our application.
Loughlin and her husband, clothing designer Massimo Giannulli, were accused of paying about $500,000 in bribe money to get their two daughters admitted to USC, in part by falsifying their status as elite crew athletes.
They supposedly had both of their daughters, Olivia Jade and Bella, pose on a rowing machine and sent these pictures to Rick Singer.
Both Loughlin and Giannulli entered not guilty pleas on various counts of mail and wire fraud. Their daughters were subsequently removed from the student rolls at USC, and Loughlin was convicted. She was sentenced to 2 months in prison, 100 hours of community service, and a $150,000 fine. In 1981, 12-year-old Tracey Gold was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa and received 4 months of therapy. 4 years later, she was cast on the family sitcom Growing Pains as teenager Carol Seaver, who was often teased and called overweight by her older brother.
And now that Mike's gone, it's your job to insult me? You got it, Jumbo?
Gold loathed the insensitive running gag, and by 1988, her anorexia had returned. At first, she stuck to a restrictive 500-calorie daily diet to go from 133 to 113 pounds. Gold's weight dropped to 79 pounds by 1992. Growing Pains cast member Joanna Kearns told E! True Hollywood Story, "I just saw her wasting away and she was getting foggy and couldn't remember lines, and I just was afraid that it was much further than any of us imagined." Gold sought professional medical treatment for her disease during production of the final season of Growing Pains, so she was absent for multiple episodes, returning for the series finale. The final scene of the series involved the Seaver family eating pizza, which proved challenging for Gold.
I couldn't eat pizza, So I fake eat, and I very badly fake eat it.
Running for 4 seasons in the 1980s in syndication, Small Wonder offered a high-concept science fiction twist on the standard family sitcom. Roboticist Ted Lawson built a realistic-looking child robot, Vicky, and raised her like a daughter alongside his scheming, troublemaking son, Jamie. Jerry Supiran played Jamie Lawson for the entire run, and then retired from acting at the age of 16. Soon thereafter, his life fell into disarray.
There's gotta be more to life than school. Man cannot live by education alone.
Supiran's earnings from Small Wonder and other acting jobs had been placed into a trust, which was quickly wiped out. In a 2012 interview with the National Enquirer, Supiran explained, "When I was 19, I dated a sex worker and she took what was left of my trust fund. Then one of my advisors stole $500,000 from me." The former child star became a server working at various restaurants for more than a decade until 2012. As he told the National Enquirer, "I was laid off from a restaurant in Henderson, Nevada due to the economy. I haven't been able to find a job since." Supiran moved to California to be close to his brother, but things were still difficult. He confided, "While he helps me with hot meals and a shower, he doesn't have the room for me to stay there." For a period of time, Supiran lived in a shelter or slept beneath a bridge. Lauren Tewes had very little on-screen experience when she landed the role of cruise director Julie McCoy on The Love Boat. During her 7 years on the show, Tewes developed an addiction to cocaine. In 1985, she confided to TV Guide, "I was on drugs, I didn't sleep, I slept at work, I behaved poorly at work, and that is where I made my fatal mistake." That interview came less than a year after Tewes was fired from The Love Boat, although media outlets had reported that she was let go after asking for an exorbitant pay raise. In her memoir, A Primetime Life, producer Aaron Spelling wrote, "Lauren really got stung by the dark side of Hollywood. Her marriage fell apart, and she told TV Guide she'd become addicted to cocaine. While Tewes would eventually get sober in return for Love Boat guest spots and reunions, she couldn't get work for a while. She told Entertainment Weekly, "I was blacklisted. Years later, people say, 'We couldn't hire you then. The word was out on you. I was punished.'" When Full House ended its 7-year run in 1995, Jodie Sweetin, who played middle Tanner child Stephanie for the entirety of the series, was 13 years old. She continued to act occasionally while she attended high school and college, and by the time she was 20, she'd married a police officer. In 2006, she told Good Morning America, It is kind of hard to figure out who you are when you've lost your job at age 13, when that was basically how you identified yourself. Soon after the show's end, Sweetin turned to substances. In 1996, she was carried out of co-star Candace Cameron's wedding. Recalling the day to US Weekly, she explained, "I probably had 2 bottles of wine and I was only 14, but that set the pattern of the kind of drinking I would do." Sweetin discovered ecstasy while in high school, moved on to cocaine in college, and in her early 20s, methamphetamine, to which she became addicted. She attended the premiere of Full House twins Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's 2004 film New York Minute under the influence and did meth in the bathroom. Despite telling media outlets in the mid-2000s that she'd gotten sober, Sweetin continued to use drugs. In 2008, she drove under the influence with her young daughter in the car. That's when she realized she'd hit bottom and joined Alcoholics Anonymous. The Wonder Years depicted life in the turbulent 1960s through the eyes of regular kid Kevin Arnold, as played by young actor Fred Savage. The series wrapped its 5-year run in 1993, around the time that a crew member filed a lawsuit accusing the then teenage star of inappropriate behavior and sexual harassment. Monique Long, a 32-year-old costumer, alleged that Savage tried to touch her without consent, repeatedly asked her out, and begged her to be intimate with him. She sought help from Savage's TV dad Dan Lauria, who allegedly told her to just give in to the 16-year-old's advances. It wasn't the only time Savage was accused of backstage impropriety. Young Ju Huang, a costumer on Savage's 2015-2016 sitcom The Grinder, filed suit alleging that the actor created an extremely hostile work environment via aggressive behavior, intimidation, and constant use of profanities toward female employees.
I was attempting to brush off dandruff off Mr. Savage's jacket. Mr. Savage snapped, and he hit my arm violently 3 times.
When ABC rebooted The Wonder Years in the 2020s, Savage joined as an executive producer and director. In 2022, he was fired following an internal investigation over alleged misconduct. Bill Cosby earned the nickname America's Dad following the launch of The Cosby Show in 1984. By season 2, The Cosby Show, which depicted the daily lives of the well-off Huxtable family, was the #1 show on TV, regularly attracting more than 30 million viewers. It would run for 8 years and remain one of TV's most watched shows. In 2005, Andrea Constand, an employee of Cosby's old college, Temple University, filed a criminal complaint against the comedian. She alleged that in 2004 he gave her drugs to incapacitate her and then sexually assaulted her. A lack of evidence prevented the case from moving forward, but Constand sued Cosby in civil court and was awarded $3.4 million. Prosecutors eventually reopened the case, and in 2018, a court found Cosby guilty on 3 charges of aggravated indecent assault, sentencing him to 10 years in prison. In 2021, the actor was released after a technicality resulted in an overturned conviction. But since Constand went public, a total of 60 women have come forward to accuse Cosby of various acts of sexual misconduct, assault, and rape, many dating back to the 1960s.
Yeah, she took us from victim to survivor.
One Day at a Time made Mackenzie Phillips famous, but she was already fairly well known as her father was John Phillips of the 60s folk rock band The Mamas and the Papas.
I come from a long line of undiagnosed mental illness, rampant addiction and alcoholism.
Phillips recalled her father showing her how to roll a joint at age 10, and she tried cocaine for the first time at age 11. When she was 17, Phillips was arrested for disorderly conduct while under the influence, which got her temporarily fired from One Day at a Time. In her memoir, High on Arrival, Phillips said her father taught her how to inject cocaine and sexually assaulted her on the eve of her wedding. She wrote, "I woke up that night from a blackout to find myself having sex with my own father." The elder Phillips convinced his daughter that their relationship, which went on for 10 years, was consensual. Eventually, she aborted an unwanted pregnancy and wasn't sure who the father was.
Your father is supposed to protect you, not you.
In her memoir, Phillips wrote, "I never let him touch me again." Kelsey Grammer joined Cheers in 1984, playing fussy psychiatrist Dr. Fraser Crane, who then got his own spin-off in 1993. But in 1987, the actor was arrested for drunk driving. He pleaded no contest and agreed to enroll in an alcohol rehab program. When he didn't do it, a California judge issued an arrest warrant, and Grammer was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 10 days of highway trash pickup. In 1990, on the same day he was in court for the drunk driving charge, Grammer stood before another judge to be sentenced for not finishing a drug rehabilitation program following an arrest for cocaine possession. That judge sentenced him to 90 days of house arrest.
My love affair with cocaine, which was what my drug of choice, was motivated by a few other things, I think.
Grammer got sober but relapsed in 1996 when he was spotted at a bar ordering drinks while visibly intoxicated. 2 days later, Grammer crashed his Dodge Viper and was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving. Grammer checked into the Betty Ford Center immediately upon his release. The 1980 Golden Globe winner for New Star of the Year in a Motion Picture was 9-year-old Ricky Schroder. He subsequently became one of the most prominent child TV stars of the 80s. He played rich kid Ricky Stratton on Silver Spoons from 1982 to 1987. Schroder successfully managed the transition to adult roles, notably co-starring in the acclaimed 1989 miniseries Lonesome Dove and playing Detective Danny Sorensen on NYPD Blue from 1998 to 2001. But on April 2, 2019, Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies were summoned to Schroder's home in Topanga Canyon, where they immediately noticed signs of a fight. Schroder was arrested, but then released on bond. Less than a month later, deputies answered another call at the same house. A woman in the residence told a 911 dispatcher that Schroder had punched her in the face, and he was once more arrested on suspicion of domestic violence. Again, Schroder posted bail and went home. The district attorney dropped the charges based on unreliable testimony from the alleged victim.